Welcome to Pondering Passages. Kurt and I are going to take a look at Psalm 14 this week. We had a great conversation, and maybe we might end up at a place that might be surprising. You'll just have to watch to find out. Welcome to Pondering Passages. Today we're taking a look at Psalm 14, and I'm here
Yes,
with my
we are.
good friend right over there,
Hey, it's Kurt Austin, my good friend right over there,
and I'm David Mullins,
right there,
as always.
as advertised.
Yeah. So Psalm 14. I like this psalm, but when I when I think about Psalm 14, I came away with a different perspective than what I have had in the past, and I've thought about why, and I've come to the conclusion it's because I actually read it this time. I hate
As
to say
opposed to
it.
just not reading it or just reading it once and
Well,
moving
I
on or
think
what?
the first line, I made some assumptions. And so when I was reading through the psalm this time, it's like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't what I thought it was. And then as I read through the commentaries, they actually concurred with what I was sensing. So I figured
Well,
we would get
I
in
didn't
that.
read any commentaries this time. I chose not to read commentaries.
So I'm going to have to carry this for us.
Please do.
Just jump on
See
my
what that
back,
looks
man.
like. Nope, that's not going to work. All right. Just playing around. So this is
I guess so.
Psalm 14 for the choir director, Psalm of David, and verses 1 and 2 and 3. Only fools say in their hearts, there is no God. They are corrupt, and their actions are evil. Not one of them does good. So you said you read verse 1 and you had this assumption. What was your original assumption?
But I've seen verse 1 quoted a lot of times in a lot of different situations. But usually it's when they talk about it, they're usually talking about atheists or agnostics. They're
You mean
fools.
you mean people who are reading this that are wanting to use this in a context of some sort?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
All
and
right.
so I came away with, it's fools say in their heart there's no God because, it's evident that God's all around. But the reality, well, should we just throw it? Should I just throw it all out there?
Yeah.
I guess might as
Dive
well,
right in.
because the rest of the psalm really corroborates this. Uh, in the psalmist's day, atheism and agnostics didn't exist. They knew there was a God. Everyone knew there was a God. God was not in question. The question was which God, which gods was the question, not whether there's a God or not. So there's no way that the psalmist is talking about atheists or agnostics. So the question is, who is the psalmist talking about? And then that's what the rest of the psalm, I think, answers.
That makes sense. I mean, not especially, even the second sentence of verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're starting to get a definition of
Yeah.
who are these people. They are corrupt, their actions are evil, not one of them does good. Verse 2, the Lord looks down from heaven on the entire human race. He looks to see if anyone is truly wise, if anyone seeks God. But no, all have turned away, all have become corrupt. No one does good, not a single one.
Yeah, and there in verse 2, there's the definition of who are the truly wise.
He looks to see if anyone is truly wise, if anyone seeks God.
Yeah. And so you have the fools who say in their heart, there is no God. Again, they say in their hearts. This isn't something that they would necessarily say out loud.
Yeah.
This isn't something that, they would say they believe. It's in their hearts, which really show itself in their actions.
Yeah.
And so by their
right.
actions, they're basically saying, there's no God. I'll do what I want.
Well, and that would be true. Even if people, right, when push comes to shove, we're in our worst place. We throw up a prayer,
Mm-hmm.
even though our actions say we really don't believe there is a God. I mean, we really don't. And it doesn't matter which one, whether you want to be the God. When I was in college, we would build little. I was in a ceramics class, and the instructor made you build a little kiln god to protect your pottery from blowing up. So you would build a kiln god. And it's like, I don't believe in that kiln god.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I don't believe in this kiln god. I don't think that
Yeah.
protects my pottery. But as part of the class, we built little kiln gods. I'm sure I'm going to hell because of it.
Well,
Because
I think it's had a deeper effect on you than what you even know. It explains so much. Okay, I've lost your audio. I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you at all. Is it you or me?
Well, it suddenly said I was muted. Now you can hear me?
Yeah, but it's not coming out. Let me... Huh.
How about now?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just not coming through my headphones for whatever reason. But
I had that problem. I had that problem last week. Every time something would change, I'd have to reset it so my headphones were the ones working.
Okay, it's on now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. So we were saying kiln gods and stuff.
Are we going to do an edit there, or are we just going to leave all this in?
I'll edit it for the podcast, but we can leave it in. It's real life, Dave. This is real life audio.
It is. That's what
and I do think that God Almighty, God on high. Yes.
I find it interesting that you lost audio when you're talking about your little idol that you made.
Really, you didn't hear any of that?
No, that was in there, but it's like right after that, all of a sudden your audio goes away, and I think it just proves what the psalm is saying. The Lord looks down on the entire human race.
I agree, and He's just looking for somebody to seek God and not to build false images.
Because really, that is where wisdom comes from.
Seeking God,
And I know it seems like a cliche. I know, just saying this because you're a pastor, but in my own life, as I seek God more deeper, at least I think I'm becoming wiser as well.
Well, I think anytime that we take our eyes off of ourself and we try to find the character of God, so that and we've read about this in all of the Psalms, about this unfailing love of God. If you just brought that into your life, if you brought in the character of God in such a way that you were living that same unfailing love towards others, man, you'd be so much wiser.
Oh yeah.
Let alone anything else, justice, mercy, peace, joy, love, any of those things that you could impart into your own heart and mind in the seeking of God's truth.
Yeah.
And that, that's the, what is it? The relative, people are like, well, moral relativity, you only, there's just this moral thing. Well, no, it's not just morality that I'm trying to find. It is actually a higher plane.
And it's not only a higher plane, it's actually becoming aligned with the God of the universe. A lot of people talk about being aligned with the universe. They talk about the universe. Really, that's because they don't want to deal with the fact that there is a God. But yet they realize that there's something operating, behind the scenes. But we know that something is a someone, and it is God. And when you align yourself with the way He has created the universe, you're flowing in His love and His grace, and things, I believe, in some way become more effortless because you're not working against the one that has
Oh, yeah.
created it all.
I like that. Well, and that's verse 3. No, all
Yeah.
have turned away.
Yeah.
You're working against it.
Yep. Yep. You're pushing against it. All have become corrupt. No one does good, not a single one. And
Yeah.
these are Israelites he's talking about. He's not talking about atheists or agnostics. And in our day and age, we would say, no, he's talking about Christians.
Yeah.
Christians who say there is a God, who say they believe in a God, but yet they live as if there isn't a God.
Yeah.
And that's where, my perspective on the Psalm really, really changed.
And that's how do you do that? Let me ask it in a question and not making it a statement. How then do you take this passage and as you're looking at, let's say, the church universal, and then let's bring it down to the people you're surrounded with? How do you do that without having a sense of judgment or a sense of sorrow? In that we as followers have kind of lost our way often.
Yeah, I think what needs to happen is there needs to be folks that are truly wise and seeking God uh, as examples. I mean, no one does it perfectly, but and I think the spiritual masters and others helped me in that. I look at their lives and it's like, wow, my life isn't like theirs. What's the difference? Well, they truly did seek God, and sometimes I just kind of half-heartedly I would seek God when it was easy.
Yeah.
I'd follow and be
Yeah.
obedient when it was easy. But yet these folks, no. I mean,
Yeah.
it was their focus and their goal.
Yeah, and not just when it's easy. Sometimes when life is just really hard, and like we've laughed about that sign, when all else fails, try God.
Yeah,
Well, that's really kind of a starting point for many of us, right?
yeah, yeah.
Everything
It
else
is.
has failed, so I'll give that a try.
Yeah,
All right, let's keep moving here. We're
yeah.
burning daylight, as they say in the camping world. Will those who, verse 4, will those who do evil never learn? And I like this. This is easier to read, verses 4 through 7, now that we've kind of set this stage with what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Will they never learn? They eat up my people like bread and wouldn't think of praying to the Lord.
Hmm.
Huh. They eat up my people like bread. Oh, I was
Consume
waiting
them.
for insight.
Oh, well.
So I'm reading this. I'm reading this book. I brought it in so I could show everybody. So I'm reading this book. It's backwards. The Food of and Feasts of Jesus, and it's just it's kind of a cookbook for first century
Hmm.
thinking, but it's
So,
really talking about the political, the agricultural society of the time. And I'm just now on the chapter about bread.
hmm.
And which is interesting, is as we were reading this, is I couldn't get past verse 4 without thinking about the fact, give us this day our daily bread. It was a necessary part of every meal for the early century people, and really everyone from that society. And as I was reading that, I wondered what verse 4, they eat up my people like bread, is just it's just commonplace.
Yeah.
There's nothing fancy about that. It's
Yeah.
not like they have a giant feast. They have it at every meal. They eat it just without even thinking. And I was thinking, is that what he was trying to capture there? Was that, for them, this isn't like this intentional, I'm going to try and take you down, as much as this is just part of my life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And they wouldn't even think of praying to the Lord. And, and how much does that reflect us? I mean, we
yeah.
might not think we're eating up people like bread, but we live in a consumeristic society, and people, not to get too depressive here, but sometimes I wonder about the folks that provide my lifestyle, that live in other countries that
Yeah.
don't get paid very
Yeah.
much. so
Yeah.
that I could get my cheap clothing and food and stuff. We might not be so far removed from these fools that the psalmist is talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to them? In verse 5, terror will grip them, for God is with those who obey him, those who seek him, right? Those
Yep.
who are wise. God's with those folks. He's not with these folks.
Right.
And the wicked, verse 6, the wicked frustrate the plans of the oppressed. I thought that was fascinating.
Yes.
But the Lord will protect his people. Frustrate the plans of the oppressed.
Yeah.
Did you get any learning about that this week as you were reading any commentaries, or did
Uh,
God just speak to you and tell you what
if
that
I
meant?
if I did get learnings from the commentaries, I've forgotten them. Uh, but I thought about how many plans do the oppressed have, uh, and maybe at some point the oppressed are like, why even have a plan? Because the wicked continue to frustrate
Mm-hmm.
that, and that's why they
Mm-hmm.
are oppressed, because their plans are being frustrated. But yet it's the wicked that are doing these things. And again, I think it goes back to, how can we make sure we're on the right side of the equation?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that idea that that the oppressed probably have fewer plans than those who are not oppressed, right? If I don't have things keeping me down, then the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Economically, career wise, family, travel, food I eat, all of those things. But if I have a limited outlook on life, I'm already oppressed, and somebody's taking away even those options,
Yeah.
it's just horrendous.
And I don't know. I don't know if there's this thought behind this or not. Again, the psalmist was a much different culture than what we are. But it's almost like there's a scarcity mindset,
Hmm.
that the wicked believe in order for them to win, then someone else has to lose. And we still have, I mean, we have that attitude now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I'm going to succeed, someone else has to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that's might be the driving force between, at least now, people frustrating other people's stuff, because it's like, I want to get ahead of this person, so I need to frustrate their plans so that my plan can go forward. But and each one of these, or at least 5 and 6, basically are saying, but there's something that the wicked don't know. There's something the fools don't know. What they
Mm.
don't know is that God is with those who obey him. What they don't know is the
Nice.
Lord will protect his people. That
I
they haven't
like
counted on
that.
that.
I like that. That's a great insight. So, verse 5, terror will grip them, for God is with those who obey. Verse 6, the wicked frustrate the plans of the oppressed, but the Lord will protect his people.
Yeah.
Ah, that is great. That's a great place to live in this passage. The 5 and 6,
Yeah.
those second parts, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And then verse 7 comes in, kind of foreshadowing a rescuer.
Hmm. Hmm.
Who will come from Mount Zion to rescue Israel? Well,
Yeah.
we know who God has sent to rescue.
Yeah. And
And
this would be a passage that could be read if you're part of the I'm not going to pronounce it right. The dispersion of the Jewish people. If you've been sent to Babylon,
yeah,
or you're outside, and you think God's going to rescue us, it would hearken. That's a great word. Hearken back to the retelling of the story of the Exodus out of Egypt,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
certainly applies to those who are looking for a Messiah. You know,
yes,
that this is a messianic promise, but then you can take it down, you can take it from that to the day to day. I mean, just how do I live my life on a day to day? I can trust that God will show up, God will rescue, who will come from Mount Zion.
yeah. And so at this point, you're living in that time, that he has not showed up yet. You're still living in that time, and so the question is, who will come from Mount Zion to rescue Israel? And then there's no answer. There's
To this, yeah,
this,
there's
yeah,
no answer in this passage.
but there is a looking forward with hope
Yeah.
Because when the Lord restores his people, it's not a question if he will. The question is who will. But when he does, Jacob will shout for joy and Israel will rejoice.
Nice.
That's something else that the fools had not counted on, that God rescues his people and he will send someone. And when that happens, it's all about Jacob shouting for joy and Israel rejoicing as
I like that.
as we do.
I like that. What a great promise. I
Yes.
mean, that's after reading all of that, then getting to that promise point where you say, this is where it's going to end up. You may feel like you're surrounded with these people who are ignoring God entirely, who are ignoring his, not seeking him in any way, but God will come and fix that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's good stuff.
God will send a rescue. He has sent a rescuer. The question is, are we following that rescuer?
Yeah.
When someone comes and rescues you and says, hey, follow me, I will show you the way out of here. The best thing to do is follow that person, not say, hey, you know what? I think I want to go over here. No, that's not the way out. I can show you the way out. And that's what Jesus does.
That's great, Dave. That's really, really good. I like it. All right, we are at the time for this week's episode. If you have enjoyed this, we'd love for you to visit our website, ponderingpassages.com. You can see it there in the ticker below. And or you can find us there. You can also find us on Facebook, on Instagram. Oops, sorry. I took it away. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those wonderful places. And we have blogs, we have audio, we have video, we have
more stuff than
we should do more. We aren't doing enough. We should do more. We should do the stuff that we do now better. That's
that would be
answer.
hard. It's easier to do more stuff than to do the stuff that you're doing better.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this week's. A reminder, we read the same passage every day for a week, and then we come back together and we talk about it. Be a part of that conversation. Join us for that. Read Psalm 15 is next week, and if you read it every day and you join this conversation, then we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Maybe we say something and you go, these people are crazy. They don't have any idea. God told me exactly what that passage means. We'd love to hear that. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself. We like what we think. So, all right. Anything else, Dave? Does that do it for you?
I think that's plenty.
You know what's calling my name right now?
What?
A big old McAllister's tea.
Always.
All right, folks. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
I can't wait. We'll be doing the show at one point and you'll be, yeah, I really like this pondering. I like this passage. It's fantastic.
It's just like this cigar I got at CarMax. It's smooth. Yeah. It's just wonderful.
And I don't know why Dave says it's bad for your health. It hasn't hurt me at all.